And we are live. Hello and welcome to another review on the Benefit of the Doud podcast. And joining me as always is my co-host and co-reviewer, Mr. Cliff Thomas. How you doing, Cliff?
Doing great. Ready to review some road trip tech.
Yeah, it's going to be some fun. Now, the reason you're watching this is because as this video goes live, I am going to be on a road trip. And I thought, with my family, and I thought it would be fun to kind of give you an idea as to like what's some of the technology that we take with us to survive a road trip with four humans who barely tolerate each other.
Emphasis on survive.
Right, exactly. So we've got a lot to cover here, so we're just gonna dive right in and let's get Skippy going on. So hello, Skippy.
Hello, Skippy. Mute Skippy.
Mute Skippy. Skippy is muted. So here we have the collection, the assortment of technology that I will be taking with me. Now, this, and this should be all pretty familiar. This is the iPhone 14 Pro, which I need to take because my daughter has an iPhone. This is the Moto Razr Plus, which I just love, so I'm going to take that. And this is the Google Pixel Fold, which is coming to a review near you on the Benefit of a Doud podcast once we come back from hiatus. So now that we've introduced these phones, let's get them out of the way. And then that leaves the rest of this. And I'm also going to take a moment to remind you, this is the Sturkman Tech Travel Bag that we reviewed on the channel previously. Link in the show notes, and there will be a link to in the show notes for the Moto Razr review and for the iPhone review because we reviewed that too. But anyway, so this is the tech pouch that you use to take like all your cables and your batteries. And actually, there's a cable left in here still from my last trip.
I always find something. It's always interesting if you go back and look at some of your bags if you haven't looked at them in a while. There's usually a little surprise. Like, oh, I was wondering where that was.
Yeah, right. And unfortunately, this time it wasn't a $20 bill. It was just a cable, but I'll take it. Cables are good. So anyway, so check out the review that we did of this. I will put that in the show notes as well. But for now, that leaves us with this assortment of stuff, which we are going to discuss one by one and why we're going to be using them on this trip. And we are going to start with this guy. So you three, go away. We'll get back to you in a little bit.
So before we actually started recording and we were discussing some of these items, I said, what is that? Is that like an infrared thermometer? Is it?
It is not.
It is not.
No, what this is this is the I don't know how to pronounce this right, but Tuvrin Tuvrated car headrest hidden hook 2-in-1 it's so okay, basically here's how this works.
So it sounds like one of those random Chinese source Amazon.
It honestly probably is. It honestly probably is. So here's how this works. This opens up and you clamp this onto the headrest of your car. And then there's various degrees of tightness that you can do. I think I usually use the tightest one or the second tightest one. As it stands right now, if I put it on the second tightest one, it doesn't stay shut. So I'm just going to put it on the tightest one. And then this kind of like ratchets closed. So it's very, very grippy. There's a rubberized surface on the inside here,
inside there.
which makes it even more grippy. But anyway, so you ratchet this closed. And then you can rotate it around your headrest pole if you need to. Typically, when you're not using it, you can like turn it to the side, and it'll like stick like this is the headrest, and this is your seat, and it'll just kind of sit like in there, kind of out of the way.
All that kind of stuff.
But when you twist it out
on your hand, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That's from Great America last night.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
But anyway, so when you twist it out, first of all, this is a hook. So you can like hook your bag on there. The other day I used this. I was taking some weed killer out to my mom's house, and if the weed killer falls over, it like tends to leak. So
Hmm.
I hooked it onto here just to keep it, upright and whatnot. So a hook is handy, nice, but this goes a little bit further in that if you rotate this around, this becomes a phone holder. And it's funny because Cliff initially asked, "Well, what good is that if it's on the headrest of your seat?"
I'm
Well,
just picturing him going, huh?
eh? No.
Eh?
So it's a phone holder, a spring-loaded phone holder that works just like that. But it's for the occupants of the back seat, so they can stick their phone in there and they can watch their videos, hands-free or whatever they want to do. So it's a pretty simple device. One thing I will point out is that, and you should pay attention to this too, not you specifically, Cliff, but viewers should pay attention to this if they're going to buy it. There's a little fingernail hook here thing that you can use to kind of pull this out, but it sucks. It's not very good. There's really not much to grab onto. So what I figured out early on was if you kind of grab it like this and turn it,
Ah,
it works a lot better. So like one finger on top. So if it's like that, one finger on top, one finger on the bottom, and you can just kind of rotate it to get it started, and then you can like flip it out the rest of the way.
yeah, rather than breaking a nail,
Well,
cussing,
yeah,
and
because I mean, like, so you can tell here, like, there's a little,
right, a little
but there's
indentation.
like no real hook here to like really hook
Hmm.
in. So yeah, it's just. I mean, I know why they put it there because they probably kind of had to, but honestly, it works better if you just grab it like that and rotate it out. So
I could see how
that
that'd be really
is,
useful for your backseat passengers, though, for sure.
yeah, especially for the kids. Because they live on their phones these days,
Yes,
and
they
there's
do.
there's not much we can do about it except be those parents if we really wanted to, and I don't really want to because frankly it's a lot easier. But anyway, so that's
Path,
like my quick,
it's
you
like
know.
what Bruce Lee said: "Be like water, just take the path of least resistance."
Right, exactly. So that's my quick review of this guy. This is $10 for a 2-pack.
Oh,
I ended up getting two of these because I put one each on each of the headrests of both of on each of the headrests inside both of my cars. So I needed four total. So I got two of these. For $20, that's a pretty decent deal. Shiny on the top here. I don't know why. Just probably just so you can see the review camera. But yeah.
oh yeah,
So
you can. Perfect.
that is, yep. If I do it just like that, it's like a ring light.
Wow.
But anyway, so yeah, that's the first piece of tech, and it's fun. So we will put that off to the side. Next, we have probably also another Chinese brand, BMK. This is a power inverter. So it plugs into your car's power point. They're not called cigarette lighters anymore. It's called a power outlet now. So you plug that in there, and then you get two plugs. I believe it's a maximum 200 watts of power that you can draw.
So you
There's two.
can run a gaming laptop off of it.
I probably wouldn't, but yeah, you probably could actually. So there's two AC outlets here, and then on the end here, there's three USB A's and one USB C port. Um, my wife and I haven't actually used this on a super long road trip yet. When my wife and I took a trip to Western Illinois, we used it for that. And my wife and daughter, when they took a trip up to Minnesota. Well, actually, yeah, I guess that's kind of long. But anyway, so they used it for that. What I'm planning on doing with this is, and I've actually been putting this off just so I could have this on the podcast. Is I'm actually going to use some double-sided tape and mount this to the side of my I guess the center console, I guess,
Right.
if for the center, but like down by the footwell. So I'm gonna put it in like
Oh,
that.
gotcha.
Actually,
Easy
actually like
access to.
this. Yeah. So you have easy access to the USB ports, and then you can plug it in from the side. But then my daughter complained. But then I won't be able to get anything in the back seat when we're in the back seat. And I said, you know what? You're right. And I should point out two limitations about this real quick before we move on to the next item. The first limitation is that this cable is not very long. I want to say it's only about 3 feet.
That is
Give or
really
take.
short for a power inverter.
I don't have a tape measure with me, so I guess I can't. Although, actually, I have a ruler. Yeah, never mind. It's about 3 feet. Let's just call it that. So yeah, it's only about 3 feet, and as the way my car is laid out, it's a sedan. So this comes about 6 inches short of how long I need it to be in order to put it in the back seat of my car. Which is how I decided to mount this in the front part of my car. So that's a limitation.
The center console part.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah, that should work.
So the other limitation is this is actually an LED readout here that indicates that power is on and that it's getting power. But this LED readout does not turn off unless this is unplugged. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but this is also an additional power outlet. So you're not using up your power outlet. You can plug another thing into here.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a pass through. This sticks out actually kind of far, but it kind of has to.
Right.
Just because, you want to be able to fit another power outlet in there. But it makes the I don't know if I ever reviewed this for the podcast, but I have an FM transmitter in my car that I can pair with via Bluetooth, so I can broadcast my phone to my car. And like that sticks out from here, and it gets really close to the gear shifter. I was actually nervous I was going to be bashing my knuckles, but it's not quite that long. But anyway, I was going to say this LED outlet here does not turn off. So like when you plug it in, and I wish I had like some kind of inverter that I could plug it in and show it to you. Now, for most cars,
we'll use our imaginations to imagine.
Right. It's just a couple of digits. It's not that big a deal. Right. I would have thought that this power button would have actually powered it off, but it doesn't. That's just what controls these.
Gotcha.
But
you have to get out the old electrical tape, huh?
Well, no, that's not the problem. The problem is, and I was going to say, in most cars, this isn't really a problem because when you turn off the car, the power outlet turns off as well. Except in my car. When you turn off my car, the power outlet stays live.
Oh, yeah.
So what we ended up doing, like when we went to Galena and when we went to Minnesota, I told my wife, make sure you unplug this because I don't know how much power this draws. So I didn't want it to like drain the battery, and then we're like stuck at a hotel, and we have to call like a tow truck or something to help us out. So like this doesn't turn off, which is a problem for that specific reason for my stupid car. But if you have a similar car, I did actually leave this plugged in overnight with my car when it was home once just to try it out. It did not drain the battery, but who knows, after, you've been driving all day, maybe the battery is already not feeling great.
Really not in great condition. That's where,
Yeah,
just enough of a drain to maybe your car doesn't want to start very easily. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
It's a smart idea to unplug it.
Yeah. So when we get to...
That's a Ford thing, with it staying on like that, or at least...
Oh, is it? Is that a Ford thing? Mm-hmm. Okay. That actually sounds right because I think my old Ford Probe used to do that too. But anyway, so just keep that in mind. If you have a Ford and you're going on a road trip, maybe you want to unplug this.
It's funny. I used to sell power inverters like that back in the day, and it's funny to see how when I worked at Circuit City in the early 2000s, because back then people would use them still for road trips, but you remember the portable TVs, especially ones that were like in black and white, and they were just like a little tiny CRT. Or for like portable DVD players, but now it has USB outputs on it, which is
you want to get even nerdier. You know what I used to use my power inverter for?
A radio to listen to Cub games.
No. So my brother used to have a tiny little laptop about this big called a Libretto, and
Toshiba,
and he had a GPS that plugged in with the serial port. I think it plugged into a serial
port.
Port.
The early days of geocaching?
No, this was before geocaching. This was the early days of car navigation.
Oh,
so he had a DeLorme software on there with like maps of the United States. So when we would travel, we would plug in the Libretto, and that would be like our car navigation.
Huh.
So I mean, we were navigating cars like long before Google Maps.
Man,
It was pretty cool.
you were super
Um,
OG on that.
super OG. So OG that when we were flying back from New York one time, we fired up the libretto with the GPS and put it by the window just so we could see like where we were like
Right.
on the map. So it was pretty fun. But anyway, so yeah, so this is a power inverter. This is when I bought it, it was like $20, $23. It's currently $23 on Amazon.
That's really good. Those used to cost for I don't
Oh
remember
yeah,
because it depends on the amperage, but yeah, I
yeah,
mean those were like $100, $70 back in
yeah.
the early 2000s. So if inflation had actually kept up with how much those cost, it'd be like $1,000. Not that much,
Right.
but
And if you want, I can actually do a screen share here really quick,
sure.
and I can the Amazon listing has the LED display on it. So let me so like you can see here. So
Oh, it's
like there's
blue. I
the
didn't expect that.
yeah, so there's an LED there, there's an LED there, and then there's LEDs on the side here. So
Gotcha.
so like it's not a huge power draw, but it was enough that I was like vaguely concerned. So but anyway, yeah, so that is that.
That's a power button. That's it's a
Yeah,
pretty
this is
nice
a
touch.
power button. Yeah, you can't really see it on the
Mm.
camera, but yeah, it is a power button, and it's what turns these on basically. So we can close that. We can stop that.
$23.99.
Yep, 23.79 actually.
79. Okay.
So yeah, it's on sale. So that's that. We can move that off to the side. But I was saying my daughter was complaining. Well, that means we can't have power in the back. Well, hello. So this is they call it a travel power strip, and let me show you. This is an elastic band that is built into the device,
Oh, okay.
and you unplug this guy here, and then this
Ah.
is a 4-foot flat plug. I wanted a flat plug so that when you plug it in, it's not like sticking out into your leg or something like
Right.
that. And then this is long enough to run to the back seat, and this gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 AC plugs plus 2 USB A's and 1 USB C plug on the back. So honestly, if this isn't enough power for my kids, I just don't care. But it's kind of cool, and it's funny because the description of this device says it's a retractable power cable. It is not a retractable power cable. It's a windable power cable. So I don't know
Your
how they got
description
it.
is a lie.
It is. I mean, it's close enough, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
that's fine.
yeah,
Actually,
so this.
I mean, I feel like if you think about it from a simplicity's sake, it's less to break because
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know if you've
definitely.
ever had the vacuum that has the retractable power cord, but those tend to stop working if they're
Yeah.
used a lot. So,
The spring wears out and whatnot.
right.
So, but I like that it comes with the elastic band. I like that they designed it so that like there's hooks on the inside to keep the cable for wrapped up, and they designed it so that the cable is just long enough that you can plug it in when you're done.
So it's not hanging off. There you go.
And I mean, honestly, this is very thick. They call it pocketable. I don't know that I would want this in my pocket, but it definitely fits in my pocket, so that's nice. The other
Fitting
nice thing,
your what is your jacket called that we've also reviewed?
yeah, the Scotty vest,
Scotty vest.
which, by the way, I don't know if we didn't do this on the air, but I've actually turned it into a vest since it became
Nice.
warm.
Does it have the tear off sleeves?
Well, they're not tear off; they're zip off, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's kind of neat because on the inside of the jacket, this is a little supplemental review of the jacket. On the inside of the sleeves, it actually says right and left, so that you know like which side to put it on, which
Very
I thought was a
smart.
nice touch.
Very well thought out for sure.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
you are equipped for your travel power needs.
I am. Except there's still one more thing, because as we mentioned during the Doubting Thomas monthly recap, I'm also going to be traveling to South Korea, or at least I think I am, because I still don't have confirmed travel reservations, and the Samsung Samsung's revenue dropped by like 96% in their last earnings call.
Uh-oh.
So who knows at this point? But anyway, so I will be but the other reason I got this, and I should also point out that I haven't actually actively used this yet. So, but I mean, it's a power strip, so I'm kind of assuming it works. But I pointed out to my wife, I said, one of the nice things is when we get to our hotel, we could take this out of the car, and now we have a power strip inside the hotel, because
Right.
hotels either have way too many outlets or they have no outlets.
It's very true. Or if they do have outlets, and it's not a lot. They're usually behind the the table
super
that's in
inconvenient
between.
locations.
Exactly. It's always like right behind it's behind the lamp table in between your two beds, and like and the table's like ratcheted down so you can't move it, and yeah, it just gets bad. So
when I went to New York, this last time, we were staying at a very nice hotel called the William Vale, and I just assumed like I won't need a power strip because a nice hotel like that will have like plugs everywhere. It did not. So I ended up I ended up wishing I had something like this to take with me. Also, and I'm going to add this on as a little addendum because I am taking this on the road trip with my family, and I don't think I mentioned this, but we're going to Missouri and Tennessee on our road trip. So, but anyway, I'm going to be taking this as well. Now, I got this for my Samsung trip because it is a universal power adapter for the.
Is it a Targus?
It is a Tessan.
That's another name that just
another Chinese sub-brand name.
Salad. Just put it just like like something you Google and you're like, come up with a brand name, and it puts a bunch of letters together.
Well, I talked to a bunch of the other tech reviewers who regularly travel, and I asked for recommendations. But most of them just said use one of the other European chargers that came with one of your phones, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't get those phones. But anyway, so I ended up getting this. This has the European and South Korean because they use the same power plug. This also has the UK power adapter, and it has the American, and I believe American and Australian power adapter. And I want to say like these, so these turn because Australia's are offset like that. So
why does everybody have to be different? Well, I know why Europe has to be different because they're in a different voltage than we are. I think they're 220. 220, yeah.
220 and we're at 110. But anyway, so this plugs into whatever outlet you want to in the country that you're staying. It has 2 USB-A ports plus a USB-C port plus a normal plug on the top. So I'm actually going to be taking this on our road trip as well, since I have the US adapter. I can plug that into the power strip.
Daisy chaining.
It is. It really is. But I can plug this into the power strip in the hotel and then have like all the different, power ports and everything that we will need for our trip. But yeah, so that's we've done podcasts in the past where we've talked about like the tech that we travel with, and those have always gone over pretty well. We've gotten some compliments about them. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to show off these things and also help fill out our hiatus slate so that we can have content for you while I am taking a break. But for now, that is the stuff that I have. And again, I don't want to really call this a review because I haven't actually used this or this like I haven't shots in anger, I guess would be my the most apt description. I haven't actually used these like in the field or like actually on vacation yet. So I don't want to call them a review, but it's just this is what I'm taking with me. And so for better or for worse, maybe it will.
We'll find out in a month if it actually was successful.
And I'll tell you what, and if it wasn't, maybe we just won't air this video. How about that? But yeah. So anyway, so that's what I'm going to be taking with me on my trip, and that is going to do it for this review on the podcast. Please consider subscribing to this podcast and hitting that that like button and the subscribe button and the bell. Click all the buttons. You know what buttons to click. And if you want some, you know what to do. Honestly, like have you ever been watching a video and like they get to the end and they say, "Don't forget to like and subscribe," and you're just like, "Oh yeah, I should totally do that." Like, you're gonna do it anyway. Anyway, so like, subscribe, smash that bell, and you'll be notified of new episodes and reviews and kind of sort of reviews like this as they drop. And if you want some early access, jump onto Patreon, patreon.com/benefit of the Doud. I'd like to thank co-producer Cliff for all of his hard work behind the scenes and coming on and listening to in jealousy of me and my travels coming up. But most of all, and as always, I'd like to thank you for listening and for giving us the benefit of the Doud.